this video is to demonstrate the slip stitch cast on method, which is a knitting technique. I'm no knitter, so look, I'm sure that it's a very common technique, but for those of us who are generally crocheters or Tunisian crocheters, it's a really great skill to have in your repertoire for certain things. Now, what I have here is just a patch of simple stitch, and I'm demonstrating this slip stitch cast on method as a way of making an armpit bridge in a garment, but it can be used in other applications as well. So in my patterns, you'll see that an armpit bridge or a slip stitch cast on is made in the middle of a row. So we do it in that method so that we don't have to use an extra piece of yarn to cast on chains to then work into. So I'm just going to show you to start with here. Now, what we start with is a twisting method with the yarn like this. So see, we've got a little loop there, and we pop it onto the hook. There it is there. And then we make a slip stitch, which is a yarn over pull through one, or a chain. Okay, there it is there. Do it again. So there's my twisting method. Pop it on the hook, chain one. Now I'm doing this very slowly, and I'm bringing those loops in to be quite close. I want them to be quite uniform. Do another one. I'm going to do 8. Okay, there's my loop and then my chain. Now the chain kind of locks it into place, forming a bit of a knot. So I've done 3. Four. So be mindful you don't want it too tight, but you'll see in a minute that it's not really going to matter too much. Is that 5? 6, 7, 8. So you'll see a lot of my armpit bridges will have around 8 stitches in it. Now I know that it's 8 because that there is my last edge stitch from this patch of crochet. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, for an armpit bridge, you would then be attaching that to another piece of crochet, such as in a yoke. Okay, so let's just pretend that we've done that. Now, in this example, I'm not doing that, so I'm going to make a return pass, like a standard return pass, with a chain 1 first. If you're making an armpit bridge, you won't be doing a chain 1 in here. Now, these stitches are treated just like all the others, so you will still have to pull them off your hook, just like these ones. So just remember, I'm only doing a chain 1 here because I'm not attaching it to anything. So there's my chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now, it's important when you're making the return pass on these slip stitch cast-ons that you're not pulling on these stitches, because it's going to elongate them. You can fix it, but it's not desirable. So now I'm continuing with the return pass into the rest of my little patch. Okay, so there it is. Now it looks very similar to a foundation row, except we didn't start with chain, so you have some knots there. Now let's say this is an armpit bridge and we're working top down. This would be part of the yoke, and this part would go under the armpit, and we would keep working our rows or rounds down this way, down to the bottom of, say, a jumper. Right, now this section here, the actual slip stitch cast on rows, this then would become part of the sleeve. So when we come to the sleeve, we'll then be picking the simple stitches up along here. So the actual slip stitches underneath here, you'll never see them. You'll see a little bit on the inside, and that's it. It's nice and neat. So I'll just do the next row so that you can see that these are completely integrated into the rest of a piece of Tunisian crochet. And as I said, it's a great way of avoiding having to make a separate chain and attaching it in. I actually just think that's a very clunky way of adding a bridge between two pieces. And look, it doesn't have to be an armpit bridge. It could be any kind of bridge. It's just that armpit bridges are what I usually use this technique for. And again, remember that if you were working this in a sweater, you would be continuing to work around onto the other part of the sweater. This is just a demonstration. Okay, and I'm just going to do a really quick return pass just so that you can see how useful this is. Okay, so you're treating those stitches just like any other stitch in the row now.